Welcome to another video from explainingcomputers.com. This time I want to introduce you to a brand new single board computer called the LeeMaker Guitar. One of the first of these has just arrived for me all the way from China in this lovely DHL package from LeeMaker. So let's go and open this thing up and take a closer look. Right, well here we are, we've got our exciting package from China. I always love these computers coming all the way across the ocean. I've got Mr. Scissors here, we can get in hopefully down there, get the thing out, and it's yours won't be quite like this. This is a very early board. I'm sure yours won't be in an LCD box labelled Christopher UK. I get a special box, but bit of tape under there. Look, back to Mr. Scissors, and see what we can see inside the box. So here we are, the board would be there, and here we are, the LeeMaker Guitar. Need to open up a bit more. Again, I'll go back to Mr. Scissors. In my old age, I'm getting better at cutting rather than ripping. And here is the LeeMaker Guitar computer. As you can see, it's a square board. It's slightly bigger than previous boards. If we look at, for example, here, this is a Banana Pi, I think, but this is roughly the same size, of course, as most other single board computers. So it just shows you that this board is a square board, about 88 millimeters square, and therefore slightly different size. But far more significantly, the thing that really distinguishes the guitar, this is actually a two-part single board computer. If I just do this, I can take out the core board, and we'll have a look at this separately, and then we'll have a look also at the main board. Right, so here's our core board. If you're thinking this looks a little bit like a standard SODIMM memory module, then it's because it has got a standard SODIMM 204-pin connector on the bottom. That's what LeeMaker used to interface it to the baseboard. And if you're wondering why is the guitar in two parts, well, it means you can take a standard, what they will call system on a module, the guts of a computer here, but plug it into a different set of interfaces without having to change the whole computer, which is actually quite a nice idea. So what do we have on the core board? Well, the main thing, of course, we have a processor, technically here a whole system on a chip, because here this is actually an Actions S500, and this contains both a CPU and a GPU. The CPU in here is an ARM Cortex-A9R4. That's a quad-core CPU running up to about 1.3 gigahertz, and this runs the ARM version 7 instruction set. We've also got on here a GPU. This is an Imagination Power VR SGX 544. This can play pretty easily 1080p video at 60 frames a second, and potentially even play 4K video. And it supports MPEG-4, H.263, H.264, so all the standard codecs. We've also here got some memory, two memory chips, and this gives us a total of 1 gigabyte of memory on this particular core board, but there is an option to get 2 gigabytes on some boards. And down here we've got a PMU, a power management unit. But the really critical thing, if I flick this over, you will see on the back of this board we have this. Now this gives us flash memory actually on the board. So you don't have to have an SD card, a micro SD card inserted to use this computer. Here you've actually got 8 gigabytes of memory on the board, but there are options to have 4, 16 or 32 gigabytes. So this is quite a powerful little board, this, the core board of the guitar. But of course to use it we have to have not just this but also a baseboard. So let's have a look at our baseboard. And here it is. You might be at this point thinking, what's the price of all this? That's a very good question. Let's go back to the core board. Here's the core board again. The core board costs $25, and then the baseboards come in various different versions. This is the Rev B baseboard, which has got a lot of connectivity. This costs $20. So the total computer here, both of these boards together, would cost you $45, which is pretty good. Anyway, let's think a bit about what's on the baseboard. We've clearly got the SODIMM connector to connect in the core board, that's quite important, and we've got some GPIO pins, and we've got connectors down the front for LCD display if you want it, and also a camera. Down the front of the board we have two USB 2 sockets. We then have next to that a micro USB 3 socket. We then got HDMI, which can support up to 4K. And then we've also got a micro SD card slot. So you can use a micro SD card on this board, either to boot from or just for additional storage. We flip the thing round, look at the opposite side, opposite end. We've got an Ethernet connector, as you can see. We've also down here got a microphone. We've got power and reset switches. We've got the conventional audio output and composite video output if you want it. We've got an IR connector, and we've also got this power connector. And this power connector is not a standard micro USB connector we're used to. This is actually a connector that requires what's called a Class M connector. I'll say a bit more about powering this board in a second. We take the board and flick it over. Underneath there's not a lot of consequence, but the main thing to note, we do have down here a Wi-Fi module, so you've got Wi-Fi on this board. And you flick it back the other way, you'll notice we've got the Wi-Fi antenna on the board just over there. So, having shown you the board and all the different bits of it, I think we should probably put the core board back in. So we'll flick that in. It's a standard SODIMM affair, so it's nice and straightforward. Flick it down, clicks in, and I think that's ready to start doing something practical with this computer. Right, to power up our Leadmaker guitar, we have to supply between 5 and 12 volts to this connector here. 5 to 12 volts at up to 2 amps. Now this is not the standard connector we get on the single board computer. As you can see, it's not a standard micro USB connector. It's actually a connector which has a 5.5mm outside and a 2.1mm pin. So what I did, I looked at all the places I have adapters stored, and I couldn't find an adapter which actually had that type of connector on it and also could supply between 5 and 12 volts. So what I did is I first of all thought of using this, which is an Amazon USB power adapter, a very useful device, USB on the top, and then it supplies 5 volts at 2 amps. So perfect, I thought. All I've got to do is to get a lead that connects USB connector there to the connector on the Leadmaker guitar. The problem with that is if you get a lead to connect there to there, those sort of leads will supply usually just a few hundred milliamps, maybe 500 milliamps. So you wouldn't reliably power one of these boards with most of the leads you could buy online. So I thought I won't try that. So in the end, what I did, you can guess, I actually bought one of these. This is a dedicated power supply, 2 amps, 5 volts, to a Type M connector. So I can plug that into the Leadmaker guitar, and we're now all powered up, ready to use this board. Now normally at this point in the video I'd say I must now install an operating system so we can actually check it out, but thankfully on this occasion my friends at Leadmaker have pre-installed on the flash memory on this board already an operating system, which is Limuntu. So all I need to do now is to connect up a keyboard and a power supply, an HDMI connector for the monitor, an Ethernet connector. I'm going to use a wired internet initially, and then we can boot things up and hopefully get into Limuntu on the Leadmaker guitar. Right, well here we are booting into Limuntu, and here we can see things starting to work. I should tell you this is a slight cheat. I normally record the HDMI output of a single board computer. I can't yet get the Leadmaker guitar to talk to my field recorder, so this is actually an off-screen recording, but it proves, as you can see, that we've booted into Limuntu here. It seems quite a decent and nippy operating system. Have to go to internet, of course, so try going to web. And we have a web browser. And let's try going to www.explainingcomputers.com. It works. Wow. Well, there we are. I really must sort things so this top line works properly, but I'll be rebuilding the whole website fairly soon. So, there we are. As I've not got screen set up quite right yet, I won't do any more showing you the software today, but we proved we can boot into Limuntu on the Leadmaker guitar, and it does look like it's going to be a very exciting new single board computer. The LeeMaker Guitar is a really interesting new single board computer. In my next video, I'll show you how to install an image on its flash memory, and we'll try out some other operating systems. Maybe we'll look at, say, LeeMedia, the media player from LeeMaker, and also we'll try running Android. But now that's it for this time, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.